the existing land use category from mid-intensity suburban neighborhood to compact neighborhood on 20.1 acres, generally located north of Cactus Avenue and east of Buffalo Drive within Enterprise. Item 16, ZC 250571, holdover zone change to reclassify 20.1 acres from an RS20 residential single-family 20 zone to an RS2 residential single-family 2 zone, generally located north of Cactus Avenue and east of Buffalo Drive within Enterprise. Item 17, WS 250573, holdover waiver of development standards for reduced driveway separation in conjunction with a proposed single-family residential subdivision on 20.1 acres in an RS2 residential single-family 2 zone, generally located north of Cactus Avenue and east of Buffalo Drive within Enterprise. Item 18, PUD 250572, holdover planned unit development for a 210-lot single-family residential development with modified development standards on 20.1 acres in an RS2 residential single-family 2 zone, generally located north of Cactus and east of Buffalo Drive within Enterprise. And then item 19, TM 25-500-142, holdover tentative map consisting of 210 single-family residential lots and common lots on 20.1 acres in an RS2 residential single-family 2 zone, generally located north of Cactus Avenue and east of Buffalo Drive within Enterprise.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here representing the applicant in this matter, Cactus Homes. Actually, the principal of Cactus Homes, Todd Stratton, is here in the audience today to answer any questions with this presentation that you may have. And I also have in the audience Dagny Stapleton and Margot Tello. They're both here representing the county to discuss a community land trust when we get into those discussions. First of all, what I'd like to do is get your attention to the overhead as far as where this property is located before I get into the entitlements, and then I'm going to talk about the community land trust and then wrap everything up with what we've done with communication and outreach with the neighbors and through the land use process here. So the first thing that you see on the overhead here, and you see highlighted in yellow, this is approximately 20 acres of property that is surrounded by, it's not located within, but it's surrounded by Mountain's Edge master plan community. This is a perfect, classic infill piece of property. It was owned by the BLM, where the county has purchased this property for residential development. To get you a little bit more familiar, the location of this property located in Mountain's Edge, it's bounded way over here that you can see to the east is Buffalo, which runs north and south. Excuse me, on the west of us. On the east side here is the Rainbow Boulevard. To the north in this area is Mountain's Edge Parkway, and our property fronts onto Cactus. There is a drainage channel that actually runs east and west in this area that bisects our property in this area that I'm showing you. What we're proposing before you today is a single-family residential development. Matter of fact, it is no different than what you see as the sea of housing that's located on this aerial here. These are going to be similar and just compatible and harmonious to the existing homes that are here. And let me explain to you why. So I'm going to get into the plan amendment and the zone change that's before you. When you take a look at this piece of property, and again, you can see our property that's 20 acres. Our property is currently in the master plan as mid-intensity neighborhood. The area that you see here is also master plan mid-intensity neighborhood. But as I usually say, you can't judge a book by its cover. You need to do a little bit more research to understand what has happened and what's existing in this area. Because the next map that I'm going to show you is the actual zonings in this area that are actually compatible in existing to what we are proposing before you today, which is a land use plan amendment that's changing the plan from mid-intensity neighborhood to a compact neighborhood. And we're doing a zone change to RS2 to allow the density that we're proposing. Now, as you take a look at the map here, what has happened, I'm going to explain to you why you see all this red in this area. So what's different is when Mountain's Edge came in many years ago to be planned, It was actually planned for a workforce housing master plan community, because what was planned here was for higher densities. And when you're dealing with higher densities of 8 units or more, that's typically where you get into your workforce housing, where you create those entry-level homes. So I spoke to the master developer and their representatives as Mountain's Edge to confirm that was the plan here, to come in with workforce housing type of a master plan community. So what happened is, although the master plan shows this area as mid-intensity neighborhood, actually the existing developments that I'm pointing out to you currently are zoned RS2 that fit in the compact neighborhood area. Some of them are zoned RM18, because to remind you, about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, home builders were buying multifamily zone property and rezoning them to small lots, single-family residential homes that came into densities that were over 8 units an acre, but less than 18 units an acre. So now when you take a look at this the properties in this area, this is a sea of compatibility and harmonious to the existing development that we're proposing before you today, because what we would be proposing is a compact neighborhood with the RS2, which is no different than the existing densities that are located in this area. And then when you take actually after looking at the practicality of what's actually has happened out in Mountain's Edge, now you want to take a look at the text of the county's goals and policies. There's a slew of goals and policies that we meet, but I'm going to just mention a few of them to show you that, to justify the application that's before you and to justify staff's recommendation for approval of this application. Number one, there's a goal policy, there's a goal of 1.1 that talks about diverse housing for all ages and income levels. This project definitely checks that box. Policy 1.1.1 expands the housing options. This is going to give another entry-level buyer that opportunity to come into this community and buy a new home. Policy 1.1.4, it encourages infill development. As I told you, there's nothing else developed in this area except that's vacant except this piece of property that's before you. And then the last policy that I want to point out is policy 6.1.4, which talks about compact and efficient development within the disposal boundary. So those are just some of the highlights of the goals and policies of the recent land use plan that you adopted here within the last couple of years. But as I close out the zone change and the plan amendment, hopefully you can understand that there's compelling justification for this development, that it is actually compatible with the densities and the proposals of what we have in this area. The next thing that I want to get into is the PUD application. Again, staff is recommending approval of our PUD, our waiver, and our tentative map application that's before you. Now, as we take a look at this development, this is the full 20 acres. We are proposing 210 homes. This is going to come over just a little bit over 10 units an acre. We have 2 ingress and egresses areas. This is the main entryway into the project. And on the southeast portion of our property, located here, we have another ingress-egress area. Initially, when we started this process, we had 1 ingress-egress. Staff has asked us, in working with Public Works, to add another ingress-egress. So we made a change as we went through the neighborhood process, or the neighborhood meeting process, and the zoning process of making those changes. One of the things that I want to point out here, as you saw on the aerial map, none of our homes are backing up to existing homes. As a matter of fact, our full setback is approximately 51 feet at minimum from an existing home to the proposed home that we're proposing. And within that setback, we either have a 5-foot landscaping in there with roadway, or down here in these areas I'm showing you on the southern west and southern east of our project, we have approximately 14 feet of landscaping along with roadway in this area. So none of the homes that are being proposed here will back up to existing homes, which, as you know, as we come in with residential development, it's always important to how do you buffer yourself with the existing or adjacent neighbors that are there. In this instance, we're not touching backyard with backyard. We have enough space in this area for separation. We exceed the parking requirements. We've worked with Public Works and your planning department to ensure that we have more than enough parking than what's required on the property. As you take a look at this piece of property here, you take a look at this site plan, you'd see a lot of the green that's here. We're required to provide about 46,000 square feet of open space. As a matter of fact, in this plan, we have 3.5 times the amount of open space that's being provided. So that comes out to about 156,000 square feet. So what's interesting about this, and when you take a look at the rest of the subdivisions in Mountain's Edge, this is one of the more open space requirements within a subdivision within a Mountain's Edge, and that you will see that I showed you earlier on the aerials of other subdivisions that are there. As a matter of fact, the amount of amenities are more than what you typically will see with a regular subdivision that has some open space. We're going to have a fitness facility that's going to be located on the property. We're going to have 2 dog parks. We're going to have a splash pad. We're going to have covered area for a barbecue pit. We're going to have sports courts. And then as you can see here for connectivity within the development, you can see all the green spaces in between the houses here. You have pathways to walk, and you have backyards there where people could sit out and enjoy their neighbors in this area. So this is a well thought out site plan that's before you. We've took a lot of time in working with your staff to get there. This project is going to be built in 3 phases. Phase number 1 is going to be located in the southeast corner of the property here. Phase number 2 is going to be located in the southwest area here. And then in the north half is going to be phase 3. The homes, they're going to be no different than the sizes of homes that are located in this general vicinity. The homes are going to range from 1,200 square feet all the way up to 1,600 square feet in this area. And one of the things I'm going to point out later in my presentation, these are going to comply with the development standards and design guidelines elevations of Mountain's Edge. What's out there for Mountain's Edge, that this property is going to be the same requirements that exist out there today. Prices of the homes currently, with respect to what we're looking at, is going to be anywhere from about $249,000 to $290,000. The irony of that is when Mountain's Edge was under construction and it started with workforce housing back when it started, those were similar prices that the home buyers at that time were purchasing homes. So usually I would stop with my presentation there and tell you, thank staff for the recommendation for approval and move on and have deliberation from here. But this project's a little bit different. As you know, there is a community land trust. The county's involved with this piece of property here. There's a few things I do want to mention. Dagny's here. When we come back on rebuttal, Dagny will come up here with me to clarify some of the misstatements that might be made with the community land trust or answer any questions that you may have. This has been a long process. We've had 2 neighborhood meetings. We've had Enterprise Town Board meeting, a Planning Commission meeting. We've had other meetings with neighbors on the side. We've given as much education as we could through this process. As a matter of fact, at the town board, the county has put together a community land trust video. We played that at the town board. We also then subsequently played that at the Planning Commission meeting. So there's a few things, of facts that I do want to mention, because if we weren't here with the Community Land Trust, I don't think you'd have the opposition that's going to be here, that's here today to fight this project, because when you go back to the compatibility of the project and the entitlements that we're asking, it's the same thing that's already existing out there. So with the uniqueness of this, this is where a piece of property that's owned by the county. We've expressed this through the whole process. Not only is this 20 acres going to be owned by the property, but they're going to be the steward of the property. What that means is they're going to maintain this property and going to make sure it adheres to what we would call the CC&Rs, or the requirements in the lease, to make sure that this is maintained to a high capability. This is going to be first-time home buyer. This cannot be a second-time home buyer. These home buyers that go through this process is no different than the process that we all got to go through. You got to have a great credit score, your background gets checked, you got to check all the boxes to qualify for a mortgage to purchase this house that's here. The home buyer is going to own the house, and as I said, the county owns the land. There are no rentals allowed within this subdivision, which is actually what is unique, is because all around Mountain's Edge, and I know this, we've done studies on this, there's a lot of rentals within Mountain's Edge, okay? So those other subdivisions will have rentals. You're not going to have, this is not going to be a rental community. We've talked about, we had an appraiser speak on the video. You've talked to appraisers. This is not going to impact the approval of this project, the values of existing homes in the area. Matter of fact, in one of our first neighborhood meetings, we had a real estate agent who lives in Mountain's Edge that actually stood up and made that statement and said, The appraisals for these homes are much different than the homes that are existing in Mountain's Edge, is because there is a restriction on this piece of property. So when the appraiser looks and values the properties, the comps in this subdivision are not comparable to the comps outside this subdivision. So there is going to be zero value impact negatively for a existing homeowner in Mountain's Edge. The other thing that we've mentioned, and I know the county has worked with the Mountain's Edge Master Association to a certain extent, to make sure that this development, as I mentioned, is going to be compatible to the existing development and master plan community in Mountain's Edge. What does that mean? When you look at this community and you drive by this community, it's going to look and be just like Mountain's Edge properties. It's going to have the same landscaping, same wall elevations, same elevations or similar elevations to other homes within the community. And as I already mentioned, your home sizes are the similar home sizes that you already have out there, anywhere from 1,200 to 1,600 square feet. What's interesting about this as I go through now is I'm going to get ready to wrap everything up. And we've had a lot of discussions, and I could get into the neighborhood meetings, and there's some things that I do want to address, because these have come up over and over again, but hopefully I could just knock this out in these conversations here, okay? So one of the first things is that the neighbors had concern is overcrowding of schools. And that's a legitimate concern. And so what we did is we put together an exhibit of the schools that are located in Mountain's Edge or in this area that would service this zone. And what we found out, the elementary school and the middle school are under capacity. And the school district is coming out, even though Desert Oasis is over capacity today, there is a new school location located here in Mountain's Edge Park for future high school. So by the time this high school comes online, our subdivision should be also coming in line on a parallel course. So from a school impact, I guess 2 schools already, middle and the elementary, are under capacity, and the high school's coming on. We don't see that as being an issue with the school district or for school issues, overcrowding. The other issue that came up is in the subdivision here, there's concerns about fire, about not meeting fire code. I'm going to start with the end thing that I always say. We got to meet fire code regardless by the time we pull permits. We've checked with our engineer, we've checked with fire, turning radius, everything that's been designed here meets fire code. And if by chance there wasn't, by the time we get our building permit, we have to meet fire code, okay, with respect to circulation, to turning radius, and anything else that's required by county code. So we're not coming in for any variances whatsoever or asking for anything different. I already mentioned about property values. You're going to hear about property values. And then what you're going to hear about is the type of people that live here. We heard that at the Enterprise Town Board. The people that are actually going to be living here, what's interesting, are the same people that actually live in Mountain's Edge today, because a lot of them are renters, and the renters are going to finally have an ability to have an avenue to get into entry-level housing. So the children that are playing with the children in Mountain's Edge today and goes to those schools and the families hang out and they eat at the same restaurants are the same people that are going to be living in this subdivision. The only difference is you're going to have pride of ownership. These are your teachers. These are some of your firefighters. There are many people in this room that will probably qualify. Maybe their kids will qualify. There are managers. There's food servers along Blue Diamond that live in Mountain's Edge. All those people that are a part of the community and the fabric of this community will be able to live here and continue to live here outside of renting. So this is a good thing. And finally, I'm going to conclude with everything. As you know, the number one thing you hear about the negatives about Nevada, Southern Nevada, is there's a housing crisis, right? I think the statistics, and I learned this from Dagny, I think more than half of your county residents cannot or don't have the ability to qualify to buy a home. We all know of a kid, our kids, our family members. We know people, our friends that cannot qualify. They're good people. That doesn't, just because you can't qualify doesn't mean you don't deserve to live in a house. We know that there is a supply-demand issue out here. There is not enough housing. There's a high demand of housing. So I want to say congratulations to your staff. They've worked with us very hard. You're planning your public works. Dagny and Margot have done a tremendous job of trying to educate everybody on this community land trust because it's not easy. Okay, as you know, with this approval today, if this project goes forward, this is going to be the largest and one of your first projects in the state of Nevada that is going to give the opportunity for home ownership for entry level with this type of program. But that doesn't devalue the area here. This is a good thing. And the last two things I want to mention is Todd Stratton with Cactus Homes, who's here. The background on Todd, he's your preferred developer here, but the reason why I want to highlight this is his goal for many years as a home builder is trying to find a way to make entry-level buying easier for a home buyer. He's gone to many jurisdictions. He could tell you he's put years into this work. When the county opened up their RFP process, there was only one developer that applied. That was Todd. No one else wants to take the risk of the unknowns that are happening or could happen with the project here, the cost of what can happen. But Todd has stayed here for the last 6 years since this project has been approved and awarded. We went through a lot, and I want to applaud Todd because he's been in the background through this all, and I told him today, I said, I'm just going to recognize you fairly quickly. But the last thing is I want to thank you. I know that there's no decision on this project, but regardless, whatever your decision is I've been in this business a long time. And there's a lot of people, we all talk about this. Off record, on record, there's a housing crisis, our kids can't afford homes. A lot of people talk the talk, and they have ideas, but they don't put that idea into action. Today, the County Commission, you guys can walk the walk, and I'm proud to stand here before you representing Todd, representing a project like this, that we can actually not just talk about ways of finding ways for entry-level housing, but we're actually doing it. With this approval today, this is a good thing for the community because one of our children, our friends, or family members is going to be able to live in this community, and not only live in this community, but they're going to have home ownership, and they're no different than the people that live in this area. So with that being said, I want to thank you for giving me the time to make this presentation before you today. I'm going to sit down. There's some people here in opposition that would like to speak against the project, and then Dagny and I will come up here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item can come forward. And if there's a lot of you, if you want to make a line, there's 2 microphones. You can speak at each one. You get 3 minutes. But please feel free to come out and let us know what you think.
Hello. My name is Al Rojas. I'm in total support of this project. It's a fantastic project, and I'm going to point out to you why. First of all, we have a housing crisis. 25% of the rental homes in North Las Vegas are owned by hedge funds. The fact that only a homeowner can be in this area home is a fantastic idea that's going to stop that problem. As you guys know, I'm very involved with getting a lot of the homeless off of the streets. The other thing that I like about this project is it doesn't have a pool area. It has an area where the kids can stay inside, ride their bikes. They're not out on the street. It's entry-level housing. There's nothing wrong with somebody having a leased land property. I've been in HOAs my whole life. My parents owned a lot of real estate. My family owns a lot of real estate in California. So I'm very aware of the real estate process works. This is a great project. I'm hoping that we can bring some of that to my area in Sunrise Manor. It fits in well from what I've heard about what's with the community. And I think it's a fantastic direction that Clark County should go. I only have one question for the, first of all, I want to tell the presenter that was a fantastic presentation. And the only question that I have for him is, where do you have your backflow valve? The problem that we have with our HOA is our backflow valve is on the street area or sidewalk, and a lot of the homeless start building up encampments there. And hopefully you can keep it inside the project so it's easy to trespass people out. But totally support this. This is the direction Clark County should be going. Hopefully, we can get some of this where I live. You guys know where I live, and I am totally for this project. Thank you very much.
I'll zoom in on that. I know Al Rojas. He does not live in our community. All those meetings and everything he talked about with the county planners, everybody in the community, that's the first person you've ever heard speak for this. Every meeting that's been done, everything, it was unanimously against. The governing dynamic of Western civilization is y'all are supposed to represent us, specifically District F. Everybody's against it. Nobody wants it there. That's a fact. This theory, these big thinkers, that, oh, there's plenty of parking. Well, that's in
Sir,
theory.
can you state your name for the record?
Louis
Sorry.
Farber. Right? I know low-income housing. When y'all allowed Section 8 housing in Mountain's Edge, it's not supposed to be there. You can see the houses. There's 8 cars in front of it. There's more people going to be living in each of these small units than they tell you. It's going to end up like California with cars parked on the street on Cactus. You got the parallel park. The parking thing's a BS. In reality, this is all BS. But one reason I put this up here is that this project, almost all of the 45 planned and prospective sites, I talked to Commissioner Jones. He said, those are just prospective possible sites. Yeah, every possible one. They're almost all in that area. And I see this as changing voting demographics because most of the people taking advantage of low-income housing in the state tend to vote one way. So this is akin to redistricting. Instead of, when all these projects are done, instead of drawing lines around voters, they're going to be importing voters inside the lines. And they talked about how they met with Mountain's Edge. I believe they had inappropriate contact with Mountain's Edge from the commissioner and the builder because Mountain's Edge has never heard one person. I asked them at their meetings, have you ever heard one person support this? They're like, no. So Mountain's Edge is not supporting the community. Our representative is not supporting the community. Nobody is supporting the community. The only person you've ever heard speak for this doesn't even live in the community, okay? That's a fact. All these things this guy calls facts, they're not facts, okay? Mountain's Edge was designed to be single-family homes. Systematical, that's it. Single-family homes, an entire community of 12,000 homes. Y'all have since changed every covenant. The reason you're changing the zoning is because you agreed to them before. There was supposed to be no Section 8 housing, no high-density housing, no low-income housing. If you just drive one block around this, you have senior low-income housing now, right on Buffalo and Cactus. Then you're going to do this on Cactus, and you have Prosper condos they built there, not to mention the industrial corridor with all the warehouses and 18-wheelers right across the street. This is now the reality of Mountain's Edge. The first liquor store just opened in Mountain's Edge called Lucky's Liquor, right on the corner of Cactus and Rainbow. The next one's going to open a block away. The check cashing places are coming, okay? People, they live where they can afford. I don't need big thinkers redesigning my neighborhood that I've lived in 17 years. The neighborhood that nobody speaks in favor of except somebody who lives outside the neighborhood. He wants stuff like this so bad, build it in his neighborhood. Let the people speak, represent the people. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is people pushing their own ideologies for their own reasons, ignoring the will of the actual people and residents. These are the real facts. This is what's really going on, and it's going to end up, this and the other 45 planned ones in the Southwest, all in Congressional District 3, by the way, which I brought up at the CCRP meeting last night. This is akin to redistricting again. You're also, I believe, if you're a Republican, violating the rights for us to elect our leaders, because we'll never be, with projects like this opening constantly, we'll never get representation.
Thank you. I'm sorry, no clapping.
Hi, Steve Christmas, 7000 Glencoe Harbor Avenue. Did meet with Justin Jones the other day. Thank you for meeting with us. I'm happy to hear we are actually getting a full-size high school in Mountain's Edge that helps alleviate some of the concerns. Gunderson Middle opened 4 years ago, is at 95% already. We don't have any plans for additional middle schools. There's a few concerns I do still have with this. I guess one of the more pertinent ones is, and I know that intention and end result can be different things, especially as we see elected officials and administrations change. We've all become very aware of potentialities for things to be taken advantage of on a federal level, be done so. And I think that removing the little bit of language we had in the CLT that would have potentially inhibited any buyers from making any money when they sold was awesome. So thank you to Dagny and everybody at the CLT for doing that. There is one other part of the CLT that does have a potential concern, even if it's not the intent of the Board of Commissioners, the developer, or anybody else. But we do have the county purchase option on paragraph 12 of the CLT, which Dagny did send an email for, and thank you. I know that the intention is not that these become a bunch of halfway homes. However, there is a potentiality that we move in people we care about who can't afford, you know, a full-size, full-price home. And down the road, administrations, elected officials change, and if this is in the CLT and everybody's signed on to it, that next administration or elected official could use this to have potentially, like the Board of Prisons, just say, hey, these are all going to become halfway homes when they sell. Then what are we doing with all the people we care about who bought in there and are watching the property values go down, still have to pay 3% to the county when they sell? That is a concern. The other concern that I have is, main concern, we do have an email from the fire department. This is from Clark County Fire, Kevin Hoyt, saying fire plans must be submitted prior to construction and the correct turning radius would be 28 feet on the inside and 52 on the outside. These are all 20-foot inside turning radiuses, I believe, correct? Radii? So that is a copy of Clark County Fire Code regarding the turning radius, additional access over the bridge to get to the north bit. There is a copy of the developer's map that shows we have that second ingress-egress right next to the school zone crosswalk. I believe that's also over a drainage easement. Here's a less dense version. We have 3,502 single-family homes in the square mile surrounding. Only 60 of those are less than 2178 square feet as a lot, and that's still 65% larger than Cactus Trails. Here's a variation of the developer's map where you could have two ingress and egress either in the middle or over here, straight access for the fire trucks, an additional bridge, move the sport court on top of the drainage. It's unused space. Everybody gets a driveway. We have a total of 600 parking spaces between the garages people have to park in. They can't park in a 3-foot driveway, and all the guest parking and handicap
Your
parking.
3 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that allowable? Okay.
No.
This gives everyone a place to park, and it makes it safer. Crosswalk, school zone, kids. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Rousseau, and I'm a 20-year resident of Montalano within Mountain's Edge. The only thing I agree with the first speaker on is this project would be an amazing project in Sunrise Manor and not in Mountain's Edge. I'm here today to express my vehement opposition to the proposed low-income housing development being considered for our area. My opposition is based on legitimate issues of infrastructure, capacity, community safety, and the preservation of our master plan community neighborhoods, long-term value, and integrity. Our infrastructure is already operating near capacity, roads are congested, public utilities are aging, and school enrollments are near their limits, if not exceeded. Adding a large-scale low-income housing project, and let's call it what it is, it's low-income housing, without first expanding the infrastructure would create serious strain on our essential services and quality of life of the current residents. Public safety must also be a top priority. Increased population density brings additional demands on police, fire, and emergency services. This violates community safety standards set forth within Mountain's Edge without dedicated funding or resources tied to the new project. The safety of both new and existing residents could be compromised. And third, our community is a master plan community development, carefully designed within specific zoning, home standards, and long-term investment in mind. Residents purchased here, and I can tell you I did not purchase my home for $250,000. Residents purchased here with the understanding that the future developments would align with that established plan. Introducing a substandard or Section 8 housing into this master planned environment represents a significant departure of that intent and could undermine the careful balance that has made our neighborhood desirable and stable. There's also a legitimate concern about how such a change could impact the surrounding property values, not the appraised values. The appraisers are going to appraise the homes for whatever they determine to be feasible, but let's face it, it's going to be the perceived value. Is a proposed home buyer going to want to buy in this type of a community? I certainly would not. The homeowners have invested their savings and trust in the long-term vision of this area, and any change of this scale should be evaluated, as no one will want to purchase in Mountain's Edge. Finally, I respectfully request a full disclosure of each commissioner's financials, including any personal or campaign contributions received from this developer, his representatives, and/or agencies. This is not an accusation, it's a call for transparency. The public deserves assurance that every decision being made is solely in the best interest of our residents and not influenced by external financial interests. I urge the Commission to deny this proposal on Mountain's Edge. The community deserves to have low-income housing communities, but not at the detriment to a master plan community and its residents that have invested and live in the community. I realize that this is a county project, so you most likely are going to approve it, but I urge you to take a look at what it's going to do. I'm in the process of looking to... I'm in the process of looking to sell what I thought would be my forever home because of the decisions you guys are shoving down on us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, no clapping.
Hi, I come to you with happiness today. My name is Madison Crutchman, and I am a 33-year-old mother and registered nurse, and I've lived in Las Vegas my whole life. I am 100% in favor of this project. I have family living in Mountain's Edge, and I've wanted to live there for so long, but as a single mom, I just can't afford to live anywhere else than where I am now. The stereotypical way of thinking is why this housing development and things like this are negated. Low income is very different than affordable housing, and while I'll never have the opportunity to own a home, Las Vegas is in a cycle where we want to buy, but we just can't because we can't afford it. And while I'll never have the opportunity, but I hope that this project and something like this happens in Las Vegas because we seriously need it, and I hope that you guys can consider it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Tony Adler. I live right across the street from the community in which they're planning to build, which is the only part that he did not highlight in red. Now, while he talks about 15 and 20 years ago of what was expected of Mountain's Edge and what actually happened in Mountain's Edge are two different things. All those areas in red are not built with this type of density, even though he has highlighted that maybe they could have. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's certainly not built that way. That's number one. Number two, first responders, police, firemen, firefighters, I think the problem that they had was getting into the back of that community, which that second egress does nothing to solve. Number three, the way that the builder presents this as a homeowner, when they can't make a profit or they have to sell it for under market value, makes this it's almost like they want to turn this community into, hey, we're going to pretend that we're going to manipulate these people into being homeowners, but really they're responsible for all the maintenance. They're responsible for fixing everything. They're responsible for everything, but you can't make a profit on it. You can't do anything with it. And then what happens when that homeowner who thinks they have a home that they own, they come in there and they realize, oh, the county has now approved these homes for halfway houses. I don't want my children moving in next to people or living near people that are coming from prison or coming from wherever you deem it's, that you guys can. I pay 2 homeowners association fees to live in Mountain's Edge. What are they going to pay? Nothing? Because on one end, he says this isn't in the community in Mountain's Edge. On the other hand, he says it is in the community in Mountain's Edge. Which is it? So they should be held responsible for their association fees. They should be held responsible for the zoning that's there already that should just stay in place and make it a real community so it doesn't devalue everything. As far as the schools go, the high school is, now maybe I'm outdated, was very much in question because they wanted to build a very low capacity magnet school, which isn't going to solve the bursting at the seams schools that we have right now. My daughter goes to elementary school there, and she's got 35 kids in her class. Is that under capacity? I don't know. What's capacity? 40, 50, 60 kids a class? But that's what's going to happen here. And I agree with the other people, my sentiments are the same, that I'm probably going to be looking to selling my home as soon as I can if this gets approved. My daughter's upset about it. I'm upset about it. There's no reason this should ever happen here. There's a plethora of land out there that's not within a master plan community. Summerlin wouldn't allow this, right? So why don't we go to Summerlin? Let's build it there. Let's build it anywhere but in a master plan community, especially Mountain's Edge.
Kevin Christian, 7932 Avalon Valley Court. I've lived in Mountain's Edge for 16 years, and I've worked there, I've watched it grow, and this is going to choke our infrastructure all around. I know it seems great that everybody gets to have their fair share and fair chance to live in a home and own their home, but dump it in another community. Put it in your neighborhood, put it in your neighborhood. Why dump 200 homes? It's congested there as it is, and I want this to be my forever home. My wife and I bought that home in 2010, and I don't want to see this dumped in there. I've lived in a halfway house before after going through 3 years of recovery. I see how people can change from addiction, and if these people that get in these homes and they don't even own the land, and then the county can take the property away from them, what's going to happen? Like everybody else said, what's going to happen after that? If he wants it so bad, put it in your neighborhood. Put it in your neighborhood. But I don't want it in mine. I'm honest. I'm just going to say what everybody else is thinking. I don't want it. I've lived in a lot of areas. This town was born and raised in Vegas. I've been here almost 50 years. And I see what this does to people's community, okay? Now, I'm not going to regurgitate and say everything else what everybody else says. I'm not pushing forward. I'm completely against it. And I know if more people in my community knew about this, they'd be here on a Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. But not many people can do that because they're at work. That's why this is set up right now. There's not enough people here to vote against this, and we deserve another chance to vote this down. It shouldn't be in our neighborhood, period. So thank you for your time.
Please, no clapping.
Hi, my name is Carrie Chesto. I just want to bring up from the last two meetings I brought up, and it hasn't been kind of explained to me yet, but as far as the 5 acres that are north of the drainage, there's only one entrance, it's a bridge. What if something happens to that? When something happens to that bridge, what's the emergency exit? A way for the 64 houses to get emergency or get in and out. Something will happen someday to that one entrance over the bridge. And then to that extent, for the children that are in that 5 acres that go to Gunderson Middle School, they're going to be expected to walk all the way to Cactus and then the walking trail all the way back to Mountain's Edge, Parkway, and I know what middle school children do with walls and flood channels, and I've seen it all with that flood channel. They go over walls, they take their scooters down the little ladder to get into the drainage canal. I just want to know what precautions are going to be in place to keep those kids safe, not jumping over the wall into Tuscalante to get to Gunderson Middle School. And then also, I'm definitely not against helping out workforce housing, but I am kind of disappointed with the layout plans. There's really no way for anybody that has any kind of mobility issue to own one of these homes because there's so little living space on the first floor. There's either one bedroom or really small living area. I really think that if the county is going to do something to help their people, we should include the disabled also. Let's see. What else? Huh? And then from the last meeting here, it was requested that there be some changes, and I don't see the changes in the plan. They were going to move the entrance away to the west side of Cactus versus the east side, right where there was the crosswalk of Cactus for the walking trail. And that they also requested that some of the amenities be moved into that 5 acres, and I don't see that. Also, I don't know if that's something that happens later or if that's something that happens before the plan goes through. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Miller, 9328 Peace Pipe Court in Las Vegas. I am a proud constituent in Commission District F. I am also a 20-year resident of Las Vegas who spent close to 10 years as a real estate professional. Since the pandemic, the housing market has experienced significant price growth. That and the rise in interest rates has created a huge affordability gap, which I'm sure you're all aware of. This development strategically addresses the pricing gap by serving middle-income earners like teachers, nurses, and first responders, those who form the backbone of our community and cannot afford the dream of owning a home in the United States of America. As someone with extensive market knowledge, I can tell you the workforce housing developments like Cactus Trails do not negatively impact surrounding property values. In fact, they stabilize communities by ensuring consistent home ownership rates and reducing market fluctuations. You can acknowledge community concerns. The evidence shows that properly managed affordable homeownership programs maintain neighborhood standards while expanding opportunity. The development represents thoughtful planning rather than rapid development with extensive community input and oversight throughout the entire process. They can adhere to, as the gentleman stated, the already aesthetically pleasing Mountain's Edge design standards and in some respects exceed current community amenities. The fact that the model includes ongoing oversight by Clark County ensures proper maintenance and compliance with community standards. This provides an additional layer of quality control that often exceeds what occurs in traditional homeownership situations in which oversight may not exist. Unlike investors and absentee landlords, and I think someone talked about the number of hedge fund-owned homes in the county, community land trust homeowners are required to occupy their homes and are prohibited from renting them. This creates stable, invested neighborhoods that all communities want. Cactus Trails represents an opportunity to support the hardworking people who make Clark County work: nurses, teachers, firefighters, and service workers who currently face maybe long commutes or housing insecurities. These aren't abstract people. They're our coworkers, our friends, and sometimes our family members. I have worked as a real estate agent with these type of home buyers. They've used down payment assistance programs for first-time home buying programs. When they attain home ownership, something they thought was unattainable, the pride in owning their home is huge, and they take great pride in making sure their house is maintained and their neighborhood is taken care of. I urge you to move forward with this project. Recognize it as a responsible, market-smart solution to the affordability crisis. It represents the best of public-private partnership using proven models to address critical housing needs. By approving this development, you're not just adding units, you're investing in community stability, supporting local and county can afford to live here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I think they've already spoken. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Harris, and I reside at 7532 Pepperbox Avenue. Good morning. The Cactus Trail proposal that has been brought to you today is deeply flawed. Some of us from the Mountain's Edge community have already spoken today about safety concerns and schools, and in regards to how EMS will be able to respond to this neighborhood. I will just repeat that part of this plan is to build a bridge over the flood wash and put 64 homes in that 5 acres. Will EMS really be able to get their vehicles back to those homes in case of an emergency? Mr. Gronauer put the Mountain's Edge map that showed all of those red neighborhoods in red that said that they were the same compliance with zoning as what they want for Cactus Trails. They're compatible other than the fact that all of those existing homes in those red areas have driveways. None of these new homes will have driveways. This was actually a serious concern for two of the council members at our October 7th meeting. When the issue of lack of parking was brought up, we were told that the homeowners are going to be required to park their cars in the garage. How is this going to be enforced? Will they get their cars towed if they're not in compliance? If the cars are somehow parked on the street instead of where they're supposed to be in the garage, this will most certainly cause obstacles for EMS, and there must be a better and safer option. I know that we have been encouraged to stick to the facts as to why the Cactus Trail development is not a good plan and to not get personal. At the community meeting on October 7th and today, Mr. Gronauer has mentioned that some of us in Mountain's Edge are less than welcoming to those that want to move into Cactus Trails. If this was 12 years ago, my husband and I could be applying for these homes. We would be first-time homeowners. My husband is a truck driver, and I, until most recently, worked for CCSD. Okay? We know that there is a housing crisis. We watch our family and friends struggle to get a house. But that is not what this is. The developer is trying to put too many homes on this land. If you truly want to help the workforce, as you say, please give these new residents a real opportunity for growth in a safe and nice neighborhood. Reduce the number of homes, as Mr. Christmas has provided a new plan. Reduce the number of homes from 210 to 165, 155. Give them driveways so that they can park their cars. Make the streets wider so that the large trucks and EMS have a chance to safely get through the neighborhoods. And do not ever allow these homes to be used for anything than what they're intended for. First-time homeowners who are trying to build equity and set down roots in an affordable home. I would also like to take this chance to say that 10% should be allotted for veterans and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Hi, Mark Leon, 10349 Wolf Cub Court, Las Vegas. I'm the president of the board of directors of Mountain's Edge Master Association, MEMA, which is the HOA community of more than 12,000 homes that surrounds the proposed Cactus Trail project on all sides. It is a long-standing 20-year policy that MEMA stays neutral with regard to zoning changes, but this unusual project concerns us. First, it makes little sense that housing for economically challenged families be situated so far from basic resources. The site sits amid a sea of single-family homes and is not walking distance to shopping, a grocery store, or places of employment. Further, because of the nature of the Community Land Trust, CLT, these homes can never be part of the master plan community that maintains the standards and common elements all around them. Indeed, because of the CLT, the Nevada laws that govern MEMA and other common interest communities don't apply to Cactus Trails. The county is inadvertently isolating these 210 homeowners, both physically and socially, from the common interest community that surrounds them. MEMA does not see the logic of selecting this site as the showcase for dozens of other planned CLT projects, given the many obvious hurdles to its success. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Good morning, Lisa Scurro, 524 South 8th Street. I'm here to, but I live in District F. I'm here as a proponent to commend the developer for partnering with the county to develop this project. I think it's well overdue, with 23% of the homes being purchased after not the pandemic, but prior to that, the housing crisis that we had here. 23% of homes were bought by investors, and they have driven the prices sky high. I think Cactus Trail will fill the gap, leaving many middle earners, arena earners, sports, people that support the sports teams, nurses, teachers, first responders, government employees, service industry employees, the ability to buy a home. It is so important. As a real estate broker, I feel that every single person should be able to buy a home if they so choose, and they work for it. I appreciate having the time here today. Thank you so much, and thank you for doing this project. I think it's really important, and more projects need to be done in Mr. Rojas's neighborhood and infill areas. I think it's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kevin Stratton, and I live in the Mountains Edge community and have lived here for the past 9 years. As a father of 6, this community is far more than a location. It is where my children are growing up, where we attend school, where we shop, and where we build relationships. This is our home. I also work for Cactus Homes as a VP of construction, and because of that, I've had the opportunity to watch this project develop from the beginning, the planning, the community input, and the improvements made along the way. But I want to be very clear. I'm not speaking today as an employee. I'm here as a neighbor, as someone who cares deeply about the future of this community. Across the country, and here in Clark County, families are feeling the growing burden of rising costs. Teachers, healthcare workers, first responders, hospital workers, and young families are finding that affordable housing options are becoming increasingly limited near where they work, learn, and raise their children. This project gives us a rare opportunity, not just to build homes, but to build a solution. Approving this development will provide stability for families. Stable housing means stable schools, consistent friendships, and stronger long-term outcomes for children. It'll support the local economy. When families aren't overburdened by housing costs, they spend money locally, supporting businesses, services, and jobs. It also reflects smart, responsible growth. Mountains Edge already has schools, as we've learned today, infrastructure, parks, and access in place. This makes this the right location for attainable housing, not low income. Preserve inclusivity and opportunity. A healthy community includes a mix of income, backgrounds, and life stages. This project helps protect that balance. This development isn't about lowering standards, it's about expanding access. It is about ensuring that people who strengthen, serve, and support community can also afford to be a part of it. So today, I respectfully ask you for your support, not simply because we need more housing, but because this project allows us to lead by example. It allows us to demonstrate that growth can be thoughtful, inclusive, and good for families. And with this, I'd like to close with this thought. Strong communities aren't built by keeping people out, they're built by making room for those who are working hard to belong. This project makes room, and I believe our community will be stronger because of it. Thank you for your time and careful consideration.
Thank you. Please, please.
Hi, my name is Bianca Rodriguez. I've been a Nevada resident for the past 22 years and a real estate professional for 10 years. And I just want to say that I urge you to approve this project. We need it all over Las Vegas, not just in Mountains Edge or Sunrise, all over. More people need the opportunity to own a home, and I think I urge all of you to please approve the project. That is it.
Thank you. Wait, I'm sorry.
Good morning. My name is Francesca Comelli. I have lived in Mountains Edge for 19 years yesterday, actually, and I oppose this project. We have a responsibility to the kids that we're raising in our community. Gunderson is at 95% at this time. That means that, yes, it's probably not at capacity. My kid has about 37 kids in each one of his classes, and he's zoned for DL. And, that's been over capacity for a very, very long time. So I really have a concern in regards to building 200 plus homes in that specific location. And as we have expressed our concerns, I also would like to say that I am a single parent, and I was able to buy my home with a lot of sacrifices in an area that I could afford 20 years ago. Also, I wanted to say that during the recession, since we mentioned that some of the areas were rezoned to high density. That happened around 2009, 2010, and I was a resident of Mountain's Edge at that time, and I saw that happen where the builders decided that they were going to build more homes in those lots because they were hurting, because obviously we were going through the worst recession that I've ever seen. So that was the reason we can't compare the area to 20 years ago. And we stuck to it, and we built our equity, and we don't want for that to be damaged with a development that is definitely going to have some challenges. Nonetheless, these people are not going to be staying within their community. They're going to be using all of the resources that we're paying within Mountain's Edge with our HOA. I also would like to say that we have a park right next door that is supposed to be manned by the city, and the city is doing a horrible job with Mountain's Edge Regional Park. There's a lot of crime going on right now, and the police is called every single day. So if the city is going to take care of this community, I'm wondering with what resources, since it's already stretched thin. So as a resident, I have a lot of concerns, and I oppose to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Bob, you still got another person coming.
Hi, my name is Michael Perry, 11156 Ferguson Spring Street in Mountain's Edge. I've lived in the community for 13 years. I bought into this community for being a special project in a developed community. The area that is zoned for this currently, I don't feel is the correct area. We have so much area around the area that we could use and develop for a project like this, but not in the middle of a community. I'm a retired fireman. The access into this community, the turnarounds, everything is just bad. The driveways are bad. Traffic is going to be spilled onto Cactus, and it's no parking on Cactus. So what does that mean? Everybody's going to be parking in everybody else's neighborhoods. I would feel that there's much more land, just like the senior community on the corner of Cactus and Buffalo, in that area and on the other side, but not in the middle of our community where we pay association dues to keep our parks, to keep Exploration Peak Park, to keep the other two parks, another park that the county is supposed to build, that we're paying for services and everything else. We pay for security for our community. I just don't feel that this is the correct area. The access into it, everything else is just wrong. I mean, it's just going to be, it's going to be bad for the whole neighborhood, for the whole community. And with the parking and the driveway situation, I mean, with rentals and stuff in other areas in the community that have one-car garages and stuff like that in other areas of the county, it's bad. They don't have enough parking, so they're all parking on the streets all around in surrounding neighborhoods. It's just bad for the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Please. All right. Seeing no one else, we'll close the public hearing and turn it over to Mr. Ronar.
We have a couple comments that we'll make. I have Dagny Stapleton here. She's going to just address the issue about the equity in the house, because I believe someone said that there is no equity that will be made. And she's going to make a short statement on that for clarification. I'm going to mention a couple things, and we'll turn it back over.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dagny Stapleton, Community Housing Administrator for Clark County. And I just want to briefly walk through how the sales prices are set, the income levels we're talking about, and how equity is really created in these homes. We calculate the affordable sales price of a CLT home using a formula that's based on a household's income, specifically the percentage of area median income, which is set by HUD. The majority of the homes in the Cactus project are targeted at 80% of the median income here in our area. So the example that we like to use is here for a family of four. The annual income would be $75,000 a year, to give you an idea of what these households are making. Julie, for example, is a school teacher, high school teacher. She's been a teacher for a little while. She's got 3 kids. That makes her a family of 4. So that would be her income as an example. For this income level, $75,000, the portion of her income that she could afford to pay on a mortgage would be about $2,000 a month. That would afford her a home of about $270,000. So that's an example of how we will be setting the sales prices of the homes in Cactus and how somebody at that income level would be able to afford a home. Now, if we take Julie's original sales price of $270 and say Julie in 5 years would like to sell her home, we take that same sales formula, incomes have increased, so 80% AMI is higher. So the sales price that would be allowed for Julie's home is a little higher. It's about $305. In this example, the difference, of course, between what Julie bought her home for and what she can sell it for is about $35,000 in equity. In this example, she would have built some equity in addition to the equity that she would have made by making payments on her first mortgage.
Thank you. Then just a couple other points. Mr. Rojas mentioned about backflow valve. We're going to be working with Public Works through civil plans. That's all going to be addressed at that point in time when we get to building permits. With respect to the fire issue, as I mentioned to you, we keep talking about the fire issue. We're working through, as you go through permits with fire, if there are any issues or concerns with that, that would be addressed at that point in time. To our knowledge, is we're in compliance with the fire code and requirements there. Notification, that we've been notifying people on our neighborhood mailing list. I know the HOA yesterday or the day before sent out a list, and they've been keeping the whole entire association involved in this process and letting them know when the hearings were, with the notification that there was a hearing also today. So I presume the 12,000 people who are living there have received some form of additional notification going through this process. And then the last thing that I'd like to mention is it's unfortunate, as I said earlier, as we gone through this whole process, it's absurd to think that you're going to have halfway houses here and these people are called criminals. That's very disappointing standing here, because we know, and I have said this, the rental rates in Mountain's Edge today is exactly in the range that Dagny told you that someone would pay for a mortgage. These neighbors that are in Mountain's Edge that are going to go from rental to home buying are the people that live there today. Teachers are not criminals. Firefighters are not criminals. Construction workers are not criminals. My kids, my family members, your kids, your family members, your friends are not criminals. And that I hope would have to stop as we go through this process. That's the emotional side of this. The practical side is this is a good thing. You're building homes that are equivalent and compatible to the homes that are located there today. The densities are the same. Regardless, that's practically what has happened. You had workforce housing, master plan community. These are all entry-level homes in this whole area. These are entry-level homes that you're going to be getting here. So with that being said, your staff is recommending approval. The Planning Commission has recommended approval. This is a good project, not because of the entitlements, but the good that's going to create for someone in this community to finally have that option and that avenue to purchase a home at an entry level, in an entry level way. So that being said, we're here to answer any other questions that you may have.
Please, if you're not going to, can't be quiet, we're going to have to ask the police to remove you. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would ask that people be respectful. I think everyone else has been respectful and would ask the same of you. I had a couple of follow-up questions that I'd like you guys to answer. There's been Section 8 thrown out by those here today and also at prior meetings. Can you, Dagny, speak to what is Section 8 and whether Section 8 would apply here given that there are no rentals available?
Thank you, Commissioner. Section 8 is what we refer to as housing vouchers, which are provided by the Housing Authority for folks to be able to have assistance in rental units. These are not rental units. They're required to be owner-occupied, so there will be no Section 8 vouchers that are allowed to be used in these units.
Okay. Sir, stop.
And Mr. Chair, if I may make a statement or something. If we're almost there yet, but if the meeting's being disrupted, we could ask security to escort the person that's disrupting the meeting out of the commission chambers.
Okay. With regards to the fire code issues that were raised, I just want to be clear, and Antonio, if you want to chime in, or Bob, with regards to the radii and the width of the roads, can you just speak to whether they are consistent with our current fire code? Antonio.
Thank you, Commissioner. I could try, Bob, and then if I don't handle it, you could take it. But
Yep.
Commissioner, they are. We review all of the roadway widths. They have to comply. They comply with our standards as well as fire standards. So the radii, all of those have to comply with fire standards. Matter of fact, they have to show a turning template that a fire truck can make it through the drive aisles or through the streets.
Okay, thank you. With regards to Mr. Christmas's concerns with regards to the provisions in the land trust agreement that units could be bought back by the county or if assigned by a nonprofit, Ms. Stapleton, can you address that issue?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. The ground lease does have a purchase option by the county. That is a right of first refusal, and that is to ensure that if his home is at risk for foreclosure, the county has the option to purchase that. Even if that were to happen, that home would stay in the land trust and would have the same legal restrictions on it in the same ground lease.
So it would have the same restrictions, so it could not be turned into a halfway house or have criminals living there, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it has to have the same use pursuant to the ground lease.
Right.
It's a single family use.
Okay. With regards to, there was a concern that was raised with regards to mobility, that some of the models don't have large first floors. Is that something we've looked at? Are there units that have accommodations for people with mobility concerns?
Yes, there are.
Great. Okay, and then I want to go to Mr. Leon's comments with regards to Mountains Edge Master Association, and I have the utmost respect for Mr. Leon. He and I have worked together for years now, and we worked very closely with the Mountains Edge Master Association board. We had multiple meetings with them. At the end of the day, it was their decision not to move forward with annexation of this project into the Mountains Edge Master Association. We also pitched additional options for maintenance, joint maintenance of the facility, and so Dagny, if you can just speak to the discussions with the Mountains Edge Master Association.
Yeah, we did have meetings with Mountains Edge, and there was interest in bringing this project into Mountains Edge. So we were working with our attorneys and the Mountains Edge folks, and then it was decided that there was not an interest in bringing us into Mountains Edge. But despite that, what we have promised to do is incorporate into the ground lease all of the same covenants that homeowners in Mountains Edge have and are required to meet, as well as have agreements with maintenance and security that will be similar to Mountains Edge.
Very good. And so I just want to make sure it's clear to those that live at Mountains Edge that it was the association's decision, not the county's, for this project not to be incorporated into the Mountains Edge Master Association and to pay Mountains Edge Master Association dues. A couple other things I just want to clarify for the record. There was a statement that was made that the original Mountains Edge development was solely for single-family detached homes. That is false. The development from day one has always incorporated multifamily. There is an apartment complex that was part of the original Master Association agreement that is off of Cimarron and Blue Diamond that was in the original proposal for Mountains Edge, and there are other developments within the Master Association. Sir, if you, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Remember, all the people talking in favor don't live there. They don't live there. We got one guy who's there. Everything she's saying will be changed in the future. Everything you're changing now, you're changing to suit you. Anything said will be changed at will. It's not worth the paper it's written on.
Thank you, sir. With regards to the allegation that this board has received campaign contributions from the developer, all that information is posted online at the Nevada Secretary of State's website. We're all required by law to post our campaign contributions on a regular basis. So I want to make sure that's clear. You've heard here today, we had Chris Dingle, who is the head of real property management for the school district, was here earlier. I also spoke with the chair of the CCSD Board of Trustees, Irene Bustamante Adams. This morning, the design for Mountains Edge High School, which will be a full-size high school, is at 30% design and is part of the capital improvement projects, and will be hopefully starting construction next year so that it can open for the 2028 school year. With regards to other concerns for resources in this area, we have those same concerns here at the county, and that is why, for example, yesterday, this board voted to continue provisions in our property taxes that allow for the Metro, folks from Metro, the sheriff, to continue hiring officers, officers that will be placed, for example, in the Enterprise Area Command. Yesterday, we also, in recognition of the continuing needs for infrastructure, voted to continue fuel revenue indexing, will provide $3 billion in additional funding over the next decade for infrastructure improvements like those that you have all seen on Cactus. So I know that that's not going to satisfy all of your concerns. You are all, of course, homeowners who are concerned about your own community. I lived in Mountains Edge for 18 years in 2 different communities. I certainly understand it. That said, I think that this is a proposal that the county has been working on with the direction of this board in order to meet the affordability needs of our community, and that this is a very appropriate place for it. It has been designated as an affordable housing site for how many years, Dagny?
About 10 years.
Right, for more than a decade. And we have been working on this project for several years. We have had numerous meetings with the community over the last couple of years to make sure that it is consistent. And the developer has stuck with this project in spite of many hiccups along the way. A lot of things took a lot longer, working with HUD and the BLM to get the land transferred to the county. But he has been very responsive. I know, just as one example, having lived in Mountains Edge for a long time, the original proposal had a lot of single-car garages. We all know that many people have 2 cars, and so I had requested, and the developer implemented 2-car garages for the majority of the units there. Also changing the layout so that it was clear that people would have more than sufficient parking within the development. The other day, I was at an event with Metro, and a sergeant came up to me, and he lives in a development that's across the street from this. He's lived in Mountains Edge for a long time, and he said to me, Justin, I'm concerned about this development, the affordable housing development in Mountains Edge. I live across the street. It's something that my wife and I just wanted to raise your attention on. And I walked him through what the proposal really was, as opposed to the rumors and speculation that a lot of folks have heard in the press, seen in emails, seen in lovely Nextdoor app posts that speculated as to what this development is and what it is not. And after having spent some time with him, he explained to me that his son had recently graduated from the Metro Police Academy, and that his son could not afford a home. These are the types of folks that we need affordable housing projects for, because it is simply unattainable under the current construct. And this project with 210 homes isn't going to magically solve all of our affordability issues here in Southern Nevada, but it's a first start. It is the first of the projects. It is not the last of the projects. There's another project coming online, also with this developer in Commissioner Kirkpatrick's district, and we are looking for other opportunities for the creativity that our housing coordinator, Dagny, and her team have put together, and are excited for the prospects of folks in our own community who serve our interests every single day, who live in Mountains Edge currently as teachers, nurses, firefighters, police officers, construction workers, bus drivers. These are the folks who are our neighbors currently, and these are the neighbors who will be your neighbors when they move in as first-time home buyers. So with that, I'll go ahead and move for passage of agenda items 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19.
Commissioner McCurdy, yes.
There's a motion, cast your vote.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I just want to say thank you to the entire team that worked on this project. Dagny, Margot, Todd, Bob, and I know there are many others that put a lot of time into it. I know it wasn't easy over the last 6 years, but they'll be very worth it. So thank you.
Commissioners, next are items 21 and 22. Item 21, VS 250683, vacate and abandon easements of interest to Clark County located between Olem Drive and Cameron Street and Warm Springs Road and Capavia Avenue within Enterprise. Item 22, UC 250682, use permit for a place of worship, waivers of development standards for the following: reduced driveway approach distance and waive full off-site improvements. Design review for a place of worship on 2.12 acres in an RS20 residential single-family 20 zone within the neighborhood protection R&P overlay.
I know, but those two guys, they're about to.
We might take a recess.
Yeah, we probably ought to. Why don't we take?
Yeah, can we take we'll take a 5-minute recess. Good morning. Whichever you like. There she is, okay. Good morning.
Ready to go?
Yep.
My name is Ernest Ferjaro, 3981 Arlberg